Good evening. It is Thursday, September 5th, 2024, and coming to you from Lonely Tree Media headquarters in Tacoma, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker. They sound much friendlier in person.
Parker's actually here in studio today.
In studio.
For only the second time ever, I think.
Touring Lonely Tree Media's new studios in Tacoma.
Studio 1A.
Studio 1A.
Yeah.
Is 1B the bathroom?
Probably. I mean, it's where I do my best work. So, yeah, it's probably true. But, yeah, it's good to have you here. So it's easier to talk about things, I think. I don't know.
Maybe.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out in a minute. But, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We haven't talked in a while. So let's just jump into news. Let's just jump into things, right? First of all, let me just say that we did just have to look up how old Taylor Swift was.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, I assume she was 30.
I think I could have picked it up because she has an album called 1989. And I think if I would have thought about it really hard, I knew that was her birth year. But it was escaping me, so we had to look it up. 34.
There you go.
She's coming up on her 35th birthday.
Taylor Swift is 34, and she's in Kansas City tonight, by the way.
The big Kevin Durant birthday, 35.
Just in case you wanted to know.
Everyone wants to know.
You will see her on
ESPN's
TV.
posted about it. Variety's posted about it. Everyone's letting you know where Taylor Swift is tonight.
You're definitely going to see her.
As if it's a surprise.
Well, that's true, too. That's a good point. All right. So let's talk about Formula One. Formula One happened over the weekend. The Pirelli Italian Grand Prix, which is in Monza. One of the fastest tracks on the F1 circuit. In fact, I think they said 14 of the 15 fastest timed races, like of the whole time of the race, lapse time, happened at Monza.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, Monza is a place where you can run flat out 76% of the race.
I was looking at a video comparing rear wings, like on different tracks, and the rear wings for these are just flat.
Yeah,
like they're as flat as you can allow without it being DRS.
There's some banking, and there's some a lot of flat out straight spots. They did throw. There is 3 chicanes in there that you got to navigate.
There's 2 brutal ones, which is the craziest part about it.
Yeah,
it's the fastest course, and it has 2 chicanes that are.
There
are pit stops during here.
It's a premium for being able to brake right, picking the right braking spot.
It's true.
Otherwise, you end up on top of Lewis Hamilton.
Well, and we saw 12 guys run through that first chicane all the time.
And then you got to go through the weavy, through the thing, get back and forth. Yeah. But Charles Leclerc wins. We're going to call it a home race. Well, they're both home races, the ones that he's won this year, technically. This one doesn't. I don't think it's a home race if you're not from there. He's from Monaco.
I think Ferrari fans are just they just want to win so much that they'll take what they can get. They'll call it a home race if they want to.
Well, it is in, Ferrari is Italy. I get it. And Italy, they were in Italy, but he's from Monaco. So the Monaco GP was his home race.
His home race. This was Ferrari's home race.
Okay, that's there we go. Ferrari.
So this was a Ferrari home race.
And it was, if you watch the race, I didn't think Ferrari had a chance. At no point did I say, oh, yeah, Charles Leclerc or Carlos Sainz is going to win this race.
It seemed like something was going to go wrong at some point.
Until the very end, when you realized that they were going long on the hard tire.
Yeah.
And that it was going to be, they were done with, they were the one stop and it was done.
Yeah, you're sitting there, you're like, are they going to pit? No.
Yeah.
Are they going to pit?
And
the next thing it's lap 40, and you're like, they still haven't pitted. And they were still talking about them pitting.
Yeah.
On lap 46, they're like, oh, if they pit now, they're going to have a hard time. Like, I don't think they're going to, dude.
They eventually caught Carlos Sainz, but Charles Leclerc was too far out in front. Even with I know he slowed down. He had to because he was losing grip on those tires. There was no way. But he was so far out in front by the time they realized they weren't going to pit stop again.
Yeah.
That they weren't going to catch him. Because even at 2 seconds a lap, he was not. I think Piastri when they came out was driving like 1.5 seconds per lap faster than him for about the first 4 or 5 laps, and then it flattened out, and he just wasn't catching it.
I think it was I think that was a part of a decision, right? Because that's a fuel issue too. Like you have to have X amount of weight left and things like that. So if you run out of fuel, you got all sorts of other issues and stuff like that. So you just want to keep pushing. But at some point you go, if we catch him, we'll be lucky to do it on lap 53 out of 52. So maybe we shouldn't push this and chance ourselves.
Yeah.
Chance ourselves with an incident. Because, Oscar Piastri was flying.
Yeah, he was. He's been really, really good.
Every race, he's been fantastic.
He's been really good. So Leclerc was 11 seconds ahead with 7 laps to go.
Yeah.
Right? And, eventually crossed. He was only 2.6 seconds ahead when he crossed. But he was clearly not pushing that car because those tires had been out there for a few laps.
Or he was, and it didn't matter.
Well, I think if he had been pushing it, we'd have probably seen him in a wall.
Yeah, it's true. He does have a tendency to muck up and end up in a wall.
Yeah, but I think that McLaren missed a big opportunity to catch them. I don't know. It was mismanagement, or I don't know how. They just didn't expect them not to go the whole way, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think everyone was surprised that they did a one stop, and it caught no one else did.
That's true.
It caught everyone off guard. And it didn't even do both drivers. They just did one driver on a one stop.
Yeah, and that's true. It was good though. I mean, it was a fun race to watch. It wasn't classic. There wasn't accidents and there wasn't any of that. I don't even know if anybody retired from that race.
No yellow flags. Somebody did retire. Somebody had a issue and retired from the race, but I don't know who it was. Okay. Yuki?
Oh, maybe. I can't remember.
It might have been Yuki.
Don't quote me.
Somebody went into the pits and what's it called? And
well, Yuki was still out technically. He was plus 46 laps. I don't know if that's retired.
He did 7 laps.
Oh, yeah, he only did 7 laps. But he only did 52, so they were a lap back. So Yuki was the only one. I don't remember why he retired. I don't remember what the issue.
Yeah, he had a car issue. It was like I want to say it was a transmission issue. Like he started losing power, but then he got power back enough to get him back to the pits. Yeah. And then it lost power again. So
Max Verstappen and Red Bull could only pull off a 6th, and Sergio Perez was 8th. And so they lose points to McLaren as a whole. They actually lost points to all of the other 3 teams that are up there.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody gained points on them.
That's pretty unusual because usually Max is in the top 4. So even if Sergio doesn't have the best day, they still get more points than most of the other teams.
It's true. But as a result, Charles Leclerc is 3rd overall in the driver's standings for the year with his 25 points. He's come on the last 3 or 4 races, right? He's putting some points out there. He had that spell. There's those 4 races from Canada to Silverstone where he had 12 points total in 4 races. But since then, honestly, these are good finishes.
Has he got 2 wins this year? Yeah, Monaco
2,
in here.
Monaco in here, yeah. He's been really good. So he moved into 30s, 217 points. Max Verstappen still leads the overall. He's at 303 points. Lando Norris is second at 241, but Leclerc is only 24 points behind Lando Norris.
Who has the most points since Austria? Is it Oscar Piastri?
It's Oscar Piastri. It would have been Lewis Hamilton, but he mucked it up in here.
And it also
it's Piastri.
Yeah, it's Piastri. Dang.
Including Austria. If you're including Austria.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because he's got 2 wins in 2 seconds.
2 wins in 2 seconds.
6 races. Yeah. 2 wins, awesome. 2 seconds, and 2 fourths.
Well, by that same token, since Austria, because I see the Spanish Grand Prix where Lando was second. Okay. Yeah. I still think it's if McLaren wants it, they can go get it.
It's going to be interesting. We've got 8 races left. 8 races left.
8 races left.
Azerbaijan. They're in Baku this weekend. I love that race course. I don't know why. I just like watching that race course. It's the left hand 90-degree turns
at the start, and then the next one, and then this big, long, fast sweeping.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the one that's got the slight uphill curve with a wall that sticks out. That Charles Leclerc is famous for running square into in the middle of a race.
I have the very first time I saw this race course. I don't know what year this was. This would have been 2020 or 20. I don't know. Anyway, very first time I watched them race on this race course. Sergio Perez is leading that race. And was it Sergio Perez? It was Sergio Perez. Might have been Max. One of the 2 Red Bulls is leading that race with about a lap and a half to go. 2 laps. Somewhere in that ballpark. And they're coming down this big, long, straight stretch. It was Max Verstappen. And the tire just went boom.
Yeah.
And he was gone. He was done. And I was like, what just happened? And then later, someone else went boom with another tire, and there was questions about the Pirelli tires and blah 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 blah. And they had a restart, and Lewis Hamilton was in front, I think, with Sergio Perez. That's what happened. Is they restarted because there was the crash, and Hamilton and Perez were right up front. And Hamilton went straight through the first turn. He never stopped. And Perez went.
I think I've seen that.
He had
one.
the inside
Yeah.
corner, but he couldn't stop, and he went straight through. And then he was done.
It was just chaos.
And Perez ended up winning that race. That's
Yeah.
what happened. Yeah, it was a great race.
Hey, sometimes better lucky than good.
That's true. It's a good point. Anyway, so the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull's still out in front. It is only 8 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I don't think they're going to win it with the way Sergio's been racing.
yeah. Oh, I agree.
They have since Canada, Monaco, Italy, since Italy, they've only won one race in terms of constructors' points. Am I seeing that right? Yeah. They won the Spanish Grand Prix in terms of constructors' points over McLaren.
Oh, you mean had more points?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. They've only had one. So this is going back, however many races that is, 8 or 9 races. They've only outscored them one time.
Back to Italy. You're looking at 1, 23, 26. They lost 4. They gained 4. 22, 28, 50. It's about 70, 80 points. 80 points, 85 points, 80, 90 points that they've lost to McLaren in the last 10 races, which is crazy. And they just keep losing them. They just can't, number one, Sergio Perez is nowhere to be seen. I mean, he's
a ghost.
He's the 8th best driver on the course at this point, right?
Is that right?
Well, the two Ferraris, 2 McLarens, two Mercedes, and Max.
Points wise, yeah.
He's the 8th best driver on the course.
Points wise, yeah.
So that's the best you can hope, but everybody else gets more points than him. If he finishes 8th, all the other teams that you don't want to pass you are going to get more points than you.
Yeah, and who's near him? It'd be like Alonso or somebody is the guy that you're competing with at that.
Funny enough, Sergio's in 7th, so it's pretty close. But there you go. Anyway, Constructors Series, Red Bull leads but McLaren by 8 points, but Ferrari only by 39 points. Any of those 3 teams could win it right now. That's a thing. Mercedes is too far back, I think, to really put a challenge in.
Yeah.
But any of those 3 teams could be the winners. So looking forward to Baku. And it's one of my favorite
2
things
weeks?
to watch.
Not
it's
this
actually,
weekend, but next weekend?
yeah, not this weekend. It's the following weekend. So it'll be on the 15th of September, on Sunday the 15th. 4 a.m. if you want to get up and watch it on ESPN.
Ooh.
I mean,
Ooh.
I would suggest recording it.
I'm so happy for the American series that are coming up. We get the American and the ones down in Mexico because they're all at a decent time.
Yeah, even the Brazil one.
Well,
right?
we get 4 races.
You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 8 a.m.
8 a.m. That's late. That's a little. I mean, it's not bad.
That's
time.
Qatar, but it's 8 a.m. That's 5 you can watch without having to get up too early.
Yeah, but really, it's 4.
I suggest when this race comes on at 4 o'clock on Sunday the 15th that you record it and watch it at 5 when you normally get up.
I just hop on ESPN on their app, and it's on demand.
Because I don't think yeah, that's true too. You can watch it on demand later.
Yeah,
but if you've got TiVo. You can TiVo.
I do have YouTube TV now, so I can download, or I can record races and watch them on my own time.
Perfect.
Maybe.
Let's talk a little college football. How about that?
College football.
Because college football is happening. And at this point, the top 2 teams in the SEC are 0-3, or in the ACC are 0-3. After week 1,
2 highest ranked teams.
Yeah,
they're
0-3. Florida State lost 2 games, and
DJU is trash.
And I will tell you this: the Georgia Tech game was close. It came down to the last-second field goal. Okay, the Boston College game really wasn't that close. Boston College looked better than Florida State most of the game. I never felt like there was a time where I go, okay, well, Florida State's only a play or 2 out of it, but they were always a play or 2 out of it. They were never like, oh, the game's tied now. Look at that.
I think by midway through the 3rd quarter, you thought this is Boston College's game to lose.
Yeah.
And by midway, you were still midway through the 4th quarter believing that Florida State still had a chance against Georgia Tech. You still felt like they were in it, even though Georgia Tech was leading and things like that. Whereas Boston College, you were like, oh, they're going to have the mountain to climb.
I mean, Boston College looked really good to me. I thought they dominated Florida State, especially the running game right up the middle.
Dominated is interesting because you have their thing pulled up here and it says 28-13.
Yep.
It's not. Oregon
The
had
score.
yeah, I know, but Oregon had a similar score to Idaho, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But wasn't domination, despite the score not being that much of a variance. I think that domination looks different to different teams. I think Florida State just looks incompetent. I think that their coaching looks rough, and I think that DJU is terrible.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Boston, looking at the stats right here. Boston College ran for 263 yards on 52 carries. They ran the ball 52 times. That's a lot of rushing.
Guess what?
And why? Because Florida State couldn't stop it.
That's still yards short of what one guy did for Boise State.
It's true, but he got all the carries. He had how many carries? 30-something?
Yeah.
But these guys only 19 was the most.
Yeah, he had this guy had 20 less carries and got about the same yardage and 4 more touchdowns.
Well, that's not what I'm saying.
It's impressive.
It is. It was an impressive, but
this is good. But DJU having a 27.4 QBR is
and Florida State having 21 total rushing yards.
Got to run the ball, and DJU had 8 carries for -5 yards with a long of 13.
Some of that's a sack, right?
It has to be, right? Because that means that at one point he was plus 13, and then 7 other tackles happened behind the line of scrimmage to bring him 18 yards the opposite direction.
BC had 3 sacks. So, that's
so that means when he did run the ball, he didn't get anywhere. But that's actually pretty consistent with last year at Oregon State. When he would take off running, you didn't feel like he was going to get very far.
Right. No, I mean, Florida State total ended with 293 yards, 272 yards passing, 21 rushing. Boston College really didn't throw much, 16 attempts, only 106 yards. Not great, but they didn't need to.
Everyone's got the Georgia Tech recipe.
They didn't. You just run the football straight up the middle, and you're going to win. Yeah, they couldn't stop them.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
And honestly, Florida State has nothing but better teams left to play.
And the interception was atrocious that he threw.
Oh, yeah. So all right, I'll give him a little bit of pass because I like to give him just a ton of crap. He was throwing out of a sack. He was throwing out of pressure, and I don't know, and I can't know, and we can't know if it was his read that was wrong or the receiver's read. Because I'm always going to credit college quarterbacks when they throw a pass that errant, that there was probably a miscommunication of some sort. Receiver zigged when he should have zagged, that sort of thing. Quarterback thought he was going to zig when he was actually supposed to zag.
Yeah.
So it could still be his fault that he threw it there, but it could have been based on information that he had that was either wrong or interpreted wrong or something like that. But he put it exactly where I think he meant to, roughly. It just floated because he was getting pressured, and it was just gone.
Florida State, being 0-2, is gonna, now they're unranked, but they're gonna have to win out to have a chance at a playoff spot.
Yeah,
and that includes winning at Duke, at Miami, at Notre Dame, at home against Clemson.
Well, that Memphis game that they have up next is no
slouch
either.
No slouch either. Yeah. But I mean, there's also Florida at the end of the season. I don't think they're better than Florida.
Yeah. Although Memphis, who's their football coach? Is it a famous person?
Is it a famous person? Is that what the
sounds
question was?
Broad, but like Memphis has Penny Hardaway as their basketball coach, right? I thought they had a famous football coach as well. No, it's not somebody I know. Ryan Silverfield.
Yeah,
never heard of this guy.
I don't know where he came from. I got to be honest with you.
25th coach, nice. But no, I where that was originally going was there was a report recently of a bunch of coaches leaving staff at Memphis, but I think it had to do with Penny.
Yeah, well, I
don't think it had to do with
they
them.
may get sanctions. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, we'll see.
There was a whole deal. Anyway, long story short, Florida State has a terrible schedule for them. If they're going to be this bad and lose to Georgia, and I'm not saying Georgia Tech and Boston College are bad teams, but if you are the number 10 ranked team in the country, you should win one of those games. You should win more than one of those games. But
what's going to happen is they're going to lose to Memphis. The world's going to be over.
Yeah.
Then they're going to beat Cal, SMU, and Clemson. Everyone's going to be like, see, we're not that bad.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then eventually, towards the end of it, they'll take their lumps with Notre Dame and North Carolina.
7-5. They could possibly pull out a 7-5, but they'd have to be really good against some teams.
With the way they look right now, they're
6-6.
They're only going to win against Charleston State and
Cal. Was Cal
SMU and maybe Cal?
Charleston Southern, yeah.
I don't even know if they're better than SMU.
Florida, maybe, because Florida's not very good.
Well, Florida's going to fire their head coach here soon.
Yeah, well.
That's good.
So will Florida State.
So oh my gosh, we could be watching a game at the end of the season that is two interim coaches.
Yeah, that's probably true. But so there's that. It was. I mean, I don't know. I like watching. I root against Florida State. I always root for the underdog, right? That's just kind of what I do.
Well, that's a good disposition to have.
Yeah, I always root for the underdog. I like watching underdogs.
But also, you didn't like Jimbo Fisher.
I never did like Jimbo Fisher. No,
and that only aided in your dislike of Florida
State. But
I don't
really have any reason to not like Florida State now. But
I dislike the state of Florida as a whole.
Well, there's
so
that.
I think
that's a different thing.
I think that it's all kind of crap.
Georgia Tech is now ranked, by the way.
Yeah, I like Georgia Tech. I don't have any problem with them.
So this week 2. I wouldn't even turn in on Friday night unless you went to Duke or Northwestern. That's the
marquee matchup.
The scholarship bowl. What do you want to call it? I don't know. That's the smart guy bowl.
Smarty Pants Bowl.
Yeah, Smarty Pants Bowl. BYU and SMU might be okay. Watch.
Yeah,
it might be a good game. It's hard to say. But Saturday there's some games. There's a couple of good games. Texas, Michigan being the headliner, and that's at 9 a.m. Why has it got to be the first game of the day? I don't know.
It's local time out there.
It's
11.
11.
Right?
They play at 11. The Big Ten plays 11 o'clock games, which is weird, right?
Yeah, I don't like it. Why can't it be like the NFL where everything's structured into
10 and 1?
Well, no, but you can do 3 full waves because you have enough teams to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, do a 10, a 1, and a 5.
And a 4, yeah. And then if you want to do a late night 7:30 game on the West Coast, you got
Pac-12.
You got your
Pac-2 after dark.
Pac-2 after dark.
Yeah, it's just always them.
It's Washington State and Oregon State again for the 400th time. Number 3 Texas at number 10 Michigan. Texas 7.5-point favorite on the road. Probably fair. I don't think Michigan's as good as their ranking. I don't.
Hard to say.
We're gonna know more soon, but that's right.
The world will tell us.
Number 8 Penn State's at home against Bowling Green. 16 Oklahoma State's at home against Arkansas. Any of these games that jump out at you, Georgia's got Tennessee Tech. I know that one's going to jump.
Baylor at Utah is a big one.
But Utah's a pretty good football team. We'll have to see more from them. But
that's not a hallmark game, but it's a game that kind of gives you a little test.
California at Auburn.
Cal at Auburn's a fun one.
That might be a good game.
South Carolina, Kentucky's an early SEC matchup that could be a good one.
If you're a Duck fan, watch Idaho and Wyoming. Hope Idaho whoops the crap out of Wyoming. Just beats up.
We need Idaho to go to town.
Idaho needs to win the national championship, the FCS.
The FCS?
Yeah, they know win the national championship. Ole Miss, that team that everybody seems to be anointing as the next SEC team.
Their offense looks damn good.
They're good, but again.
Yeah, who'd you play?
Yeah, they're playing Middle Tennessee State this week.
But you can only control that so far, right? The
it's
players
true.
Got to get on the field. So.
It's true. There are a lot of
South Florida, Alabama is a sneaky game. It shouldn't matter. Alabama should win.
31-point favorite, Alabama.
But that's a sneaky game.
It's a 4:00 game. And Kansas at Illinois might actually be a pretty fun game to watch.
Oh, we gotta watch that Samford, Florida matchup.
That might be closer than you think.
I'm gonna turn off everything else to watch that.
Tennessee plays at NC State.
Yeah, that's big.
At 4:30. That's a 4:30 game. That's going to be a good game to watch. That's on ABC. LSU can see if they bounce back against Nichols.
Yeah, there's some Houston at Oklahoma.
Houston at Oklahoma
Could be fun. There's not a lot of them though.
Boise State, Oregon might be more interesting than you think. Just because the Boise State, they did last week.
NAU versus Arizona, that's fun. Texas Tech, Washington State
that
might be
good.
fun to watch.
That'd be good. We can go watch that one. It's in Pullman.
I think I just gotta hop in the car.
Mississippi State at Arizona State. That might be a good football
unranked
game.
but possibly underwhelming.
It could be.
Yeah.
Oregon State and San Diego State might also be a good game to watch if you like.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
There's not that much.
It's not a ton. It's coming next week and the week after. It's weeks 3 and 4 is when you'll see college
4
football.
Is when you start getting into
the big conference games. It'll be big. But college football, I'm glad you're back. I do like being absorbed into the TV for 12 hours on a Saturday.
It is fun.
Yeah. I mean, I do other things. I don't just sit and watch football games all the way through because I can't. But I will watch I'll watch a quarter or half a quarter, and then I'll go do something on a break, and I'll come back, and I'll watch the end of the third quarter. And
you like the dishes.
See how close it is.
Yeah,
see how close. Well, I'm not going far from the TV.
Yeah,
but I'm not camped out.
In my house, you can see it all from those spaces. So like you're just doing little chores.
Yeah, mindless things, just trying to and that's why all the clothes are folded crappy on Saturday.
Ooh, Kansas State at Tulane.
That'll be interesting too.
Yeah,
Kansas State's a 9-point favorite on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be some other games that will surprise you. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. That'll be a good game to watch.
I didn't see some of these. There are some other games that they're not like high ranking marquee games, but they're just fun enough.
Yeah, Iowa State, Iowa. If you're in for that, on CBS, right?
That's early. Don't they usually play that late?
They used to play it on the last game, but they moved it up a few years back. Yeah.
Dang.
So that might be a good game to watch if you like low-scoring football. Iowa scored 40 points last week, I think.
Did you see that Iowa had 3 touchdowns in the second half to receivers? Do you know how many touchdowns they've had in the past 3 years to receivers? 5.
I was going to say 8.
5.
Okay,
They've
right.
thrown 5 touchdown passes to receivers in the last 3 years, and just the other day, they threw 3 in one day. It was
Chaos.
Pandalarian. Barns were on fire out there.
Iowa is one of those teams that 40-0. It was Illinois State.
It's a classic Iowa barn burner.
Let's be honest. It was Illinois State.
Yeah, but they threw and it was 6-0 at the.
Right. This is Cade McNamara, right? He's been there a couple days. He's been in college football for a little while. But
wait, where was he at before this?
that is a great question.
Because he wasn't here last year, was he?
I don't think he was at Iowa last year. Where was Cade McNamara last year? I need some information.
You need some stats.
Career.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
My gosh, he's been playing football since 2020.
Yeah, everybody now.
That COVID year.
We're getting near the end of Michigan.
Michigan, that's right.
Yeah, he was a Michigan.
So he was there last year, but then he was at Michigan.
Right. Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah, he had a big year in 21. Remember, he played the whole season, I think.
There are all those guys. Like right now, you have anybody who started on a team in 2021 got a COVID year as well.
Yep.
But 2022s and on do not. So those guys right now, this is all their sophomore year.
Right.
So yeah, it's about 2 more years, and you'll run out of COVID years.
Well, that's true. It's coming. I mean, it's happening. But you get a COVID year, you get a season-ending knee injury.
You can have multiple redshirt years
Yeah.
multiple gray shirt years, your medical shirt years, if you can prove that the accident, and this is why employees are important. This is why them being employees is or is not an important thing. You can prove that your accident, your injury was sustained in the workplace, which is how Cam McCormick has 3 medical years on his roster. That's why he's up there at like 9 years or whatever, is because he has 3 medical years, and he was able to prove that all 3 of them were sustained during practices or games and things like that, which he wouldn't have sustained them if he wasn't playing. Right? Like it's a quirk, but it's also like, I mean, I guess if you get hurt, you got to take care of the guys. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I think it's all going to shift. They're all going to be employees here soon. They're all going to have employee contracts, and then there's going to be terminations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at will states. You want to be employees? Okay. At will states, man.
We're gonna let you go.
All these guys are about to learn a hard lesson about at will employment.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. They'll unionize.
Probably. It's true, but
they already have like a union type thing.
Anyway.
By the way, this is going to be loud, but I'm going to do it in the microphone so people can hear it. Nice.
Because we're getting ready to watch NFL football here in a minute or two.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Let's talk about NFL football right now.
All right, real quick question.
Go.
And everyone here can chime in. So put it in comments or something like that. Should I start Xavier Worthy tonight? For my fantasy
What are your
team?
other options, though? We need more info.
No, so here's the thing. So I'm looking at him. He's a super fast receiver. He could be fantastic. I think he's going to be great. But they have, what's his name is out tonight. Not Rashee Rice, the other guy. Their other star wide receiver is out tonight. And so Xavier Worthy becomes the heir to some of that volume, especially as the speedster. Who is their other receiver?
I don't know if they have any anymore. Didn't they get rid of them all?
Well, no, they have. Well, I mean, they have had a guy. Well, they did just get rid of Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, right. So who's on their roster? Marquise Brown,
Hollywood Brown's out tonight.
Yep.
So that means that Mecole Hardman, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy are the potentials. Oh, they have Juju still.
They still got Juju.
Really?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Well, he came over from what? It was New England.
Maybe I will not play.
He was in New England last.
Yeah. 3 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago.
So
yeah, I'm not going to play Xavier Worthy. I'm going to regret that. Everyone's going to hear me say I'm not going to do it. He's going to have 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, 500 yards or so.
Okay.
It doesn't happen in the NFL very often that they go the receivers 200 yards and it's a big deal, right? I mean, in the NFL, it's if you go over 200 yards, that's huge.
Either you have a lot of touchdowns or you have like 100.
Right.
Like 4 touchdowns and like 150 yards is a magnificent day.
And I'll be honest, I don't care if you only catch 50 yards of passes. If it's for 4 touchdowns, then that's my fantasy team. That's in a nutshell. That's fine.
I had Travis Kelce 2 years ago when not Travis Kelce, George Kittle, when he had 4 receptions for 3 touchdowns and like 12 yards. Mm-hmm. It was like, all right,
yeah,
I'll take it.
You get one of those touchdown Tommies who run the oh crap, what was the from Wisconsin who Monty Ball who runs the ball from 1 yard out. Yep. We threw the ball here, we threw the ball there, we ran this way, we get down to the 1 yard line, first and goal, it's going to Monty Ball every single time.
Was that Russell Wilson and Monty Ball?
Oh, I don't know if Russell Wilson and Monty Ball were they at the same time? Maybe.
Wait, did Monty Ball play us in that bowl
you're
game?
Killing me.
In 2012, the Rose Bowl, was Monty Ball in that? Oh man, now we're getting into it.
So the 2012 Rose Bowl, which the Oregon Ducks won 45-38.
No big deal.
No big deal. Was a great football game to watch, actually.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. What we would need is a roster.
Yeah, it's usually further down teams. Oregon, see
Monty Ball.
So that was Monty Ball and Russell Wilson on the same team.
Yep. Monty Ball ran for a touchdown second quarter.
That's crazy.
Yep. No big deal. DeAnthony Thomas 64-yard touchdown. Right? Anyway, DeAnthony Thomas 91
yard. Yeah.
He ran for more yards on just his touchdown runs.
And then there's that name that every Duck fan hates to see, Alejandro Maldonado.
And he still won with it, even with him.
We won more games with him than we ever lost because of him.
We won more games with all those kickers than we lost, but we lost a lot of bad games.
We lost. It's not bad games. We lost some important games.
Yeah, a bad loss. I mean,
they're not bad losses. They're bad games to lose. Doesn't make it a bad loss or a bad game. It means that because that Oregon USC game that we lost,
yes,
that was an absolute barn burner. Fantastic to watch, fun, competitive game. It sucks if you're the Ducks because you missed on a field goal.
Well, part of that was coaching. That was part coaching down the stretch. They did not manage that very well, and that set up the field goal. That was a Chip Kelly mistake, which he doesn't have many of.
You still got to kick the ball.
I know you still got to kick the ball. You still got to be able to kick a field goal.
He's not asking you to do a 60-yarder. He's
a
asking
40-yard field goal.
Yeah, 40-yard field goal.
40-yard field goal. You got to be able to make that. But he did that one, and then we lost to Stanford because of a missed field goal.
It was the next year, I think.
Yep. And those, if those 2 field goals are made, and just assuming everything else goes like it went, then Oregon is playing for 3 consecutive national championships.
Yes, missing the field goal to you. I can't remember if it was USC first or Stanford first, but whichever one was first, missing that field goal because the rest of our season was cake.
Yep.
I think we had 2 more games, and one of them was against Oregon State, who was terrible at the time.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who the other one was, but it was cake. We would have walked into playing for a national championship.
Anyway. Yeah, not that we're bitter.
No, not that we're bitter. Freaking Alejandro Maldonado.
Alejandro. I don't know. I Oregon kickers through the years have befuddled me. I don't know why we can't get a kicker. We have the 6 fastest players in college football on our team, but we can't get a guy who can kick it 30 yards
But we
straight.
haven't had that as much of an issue as it seems. We have had a couple guys, and it's been lately.
It's only big kicks.
Yeah.
I make all the kicks when I don't need to.
Yeah, Alejandro Maldonado was 51 of 54 that year with 2 losses.
Yeah. And you're like, dude, how does that even happen?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Not a good deal.
Not a great deal. So we digress. NFL. NFL kicks off tonight.
Wow, we started talking about the NFL.
We're talking about fantasy football, and we went.
Yeah, and then you brought Monty Ball. Yeah,
Monty Ball.
But it's funny that's where it ended. Yeah, I'm excied to watch
Baltimore, Kansas City, big game. Kansas City's 3-point favorite at home. It's on NBC and Peacock or Peacock if you have one of those.
Gosh, I hate 3-point favorites. Just make Vegas decide.
Yeah, well, you got to have a winner and a loser because you can't have it even.
You have to but you have to call it 2.5. Calling it 3 is crap.
Is betting on a tie.
Yeah, betting on a tie, and it's crap.
What do you think? The over/under says 46.5. What do you feel?
Under.
Ooh, under?
Under. We're gonna
the defenses are still ahead of the office.
Slugfest.
Okay.
Well,
Baltimore,
Baltimore, they're gonna lean on the run kills clock. Clock is important.
That's
true.
You may be right.
I think,
final score. What's the final score tonight?
24-14, Kansas City.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson's gonna have under 200 passing yards and under 50 rushing yards.
I think Baltimore's gonna win tonight.
Ooh.
I think Baltimore's gonna go into Kansas City, slap them in the face, And I think Baltimore's going to control the clock, like you're saying, but I think it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like, I think let's flip it. So I think Baltimore 24-17.
Ugh.
And I don't think Kansas City's going to really get it together.
Oh man,
because of Baltimore's defense.
But Tay-Tay's there.
I get it.
It's going to be fine.
She can't catch any falls.
It doesn't matter, but she just sings her confidence onto the field.
She can't throw. I've seen her throw.
Word around the water cooler is that Travis Kelce's getting engaged here soon.
Oh, that's it.
So he's locked in. He's going to be a superstar. Once he gets engaged, you can start banking on him to be worse.
He's going to have to do all those honeydews then, and then I don't know.
Should be a good game though.
The rest of the week, Green Bay, Philadelphia is in Sao Paulo tomorrow night, which will be fun to watch. Philadelphia, a 2-point favorite in a neutral site contest that nobody really wants to go to, but that's okay.
Yeah.
The rest of the weekend, what do you got? I know you're going to Denver, Seattle. I'm going to watch Bo Nix in his first start.
The game, cheering on the shortest name in NFL history. I'll be saying it faster than anybody else.
Right.
Other games that I think are important around there. Vegas versus the Chargers.
Okay.
New look Harbaugh system. What are we getting? Like, what is that going to look like? I think that's really important.
Chargers a 3-point favorite.
Yeah. Gosh, it's such a
true. Okay. Here we go. True or false?
Yeah.
Caleb Williams leads to Chicago to their win in Week 1 over Tennessee.
True.
Ooh. True or false?
Oh wait, hold on. Can I explain why that's true?
I suppose.
Just very briefly.
They're going to score more points.
Penalty calls.
Penalty. Is that the reason that's going to be the decider?
That game is going to be 21-21, 17-17 down the stretch, and there's going to be a big pass interference call that pulls Chicago 70 yards downfield and into field goal range to win or something like that. That's what's going to happen. Penalty calls. It's the only way the NFL can make sure it happens.
Okay. And I know it's Week 1. Some of these games are playoff implication games.
Yeah, a lot of
example, Miami and Jacksonville. That's a playoff implication game for two teams that have hopes of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And seeding. You know what I mean? Because you're only going to play once. And so whoever wins that game has the upper hand.
But divisional's more important
than
anything.
It. But there aren't that many divisional games. Here,
New Orleans, Carolina,
I don't think that's
LA, Vegas.
The Rams.
Houston
Detroit.
At Indy.
Okay.
Is another
that's
big
a good one.
Playoff implication game.
But the Rams at Detroit. There's a playoff implication game. That's a wild card seeding game or you know what I mean? Because
that's assuming that Detroit's in the wild card hunt. It would be more a playoff implication game for Vegas or Los Angeles, thinking that they're not going to win their division. Over
maybe.
The 49ers.
I don't know that Detroit's going to win their division. It depends on Green Bay.
Do the 49ers? Oh, it's Monday night.
They play Monday night.
I was like, do they not play this week?
True or false? Aaron Rodgers beats San Francisco Monday night in San Francisco. Santa Clara. They don't play in San Francisco anymore. True?
True.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 4 touchdowns.
Okay. True or false? I was going to say, it was my second question. True or false? He plays longer than 4 plays. I mean,
Well, they're going to lose the coin toss, so technically he'll have played.
I don't think that counts.
He'll have played a whole quarter before they get the ball back. No, I think they're going to win. Yeah.
Anyway, it's just good to have NFL football back. It's going to be fun to watch.
Dallas Cleveland is going to be an interesting game.
And Pittsburgh may be without their starter Russell Wilson.
That's a good thing.
At Atlanta,
they need to be starting Justin Fields. You made this whole offseason trade or acquisition. Like, start this guy. Like, what are we doing here?
I agree with that.
He's younger. If anything, they're close to identical in terms of what they bring to the table, except one guy's 15 years younger.
There's only, and I was wrong before. There's only 2 teams that are played. There's only 2 games that have a road favorite this week, and that's Houston at Indianapolis.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's 3 points. It's a wash.
And it's Minnesota at New York, which is a 1.5.
Yeah. That's even more of a wash.
I know. There's a lot. They've got these.
I hate that they won't commit.
These odds are so bad. 3.5, 3.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 1.5, 3, 2.5, 3.5.
Yeah.
Seattle's a 6-point favorite. Oh, well, they can't beat them by a touchdown. We aren't going to give them a touchdown. Because if we give them a touchdown, we'll lose money.
We'll lose money, right?
We can't give them a touchdown.
I hope Denver covers the spread.
It's going to be fun to watch.
What's the over-under on the Denver game?
So, over-under Denver at Seattle is 41.5.
They're saying it's going to be a little low scoring. 20.
But let's be honest. 41.5, 40.5, 41.5, 41.5, 40.5, 41.5, 40.5, 42.5, 52.5 with Detroit.
They're buying into that Sean McVay.
48.5 for the Miami and the Houston games. And then you have 49.5 Philadelphia Green Bay.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never known either of those teams to be massive offensive.
They might also both be bad at defense at this point. So Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts, we don't know what's going to happen.
I always tend to, when I see over-unders, I think, how good is the offense? But I've never really thought, how bad is their defense?
Do you know what I like watching? I like looking at the tickets that they put on ESPN. If you're looking at the NFL schedule, they put tickets.
Biggest load of crap.
I know that the numbers are not right. However, I like looking at the prices because here's what you see. Green Bay and Philadelphia playing in Sao Paulo. Tickets as low as $272. Right? That may be right.
It's because the fees are insane.
And that's fine. But
the Sao Paulo fees are insane.
But on the other hand, Houston at Indianapolis, tickets as low as $35. If you want to watch an NFL game, Indianapolis is the place.
What's that Seahawk game? 75?
75.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably upper level, nosebleed somewhere.
Standing room only.
That's a parking ticket.
You have to hold something.
That's just for the parking.
Just for it's for the parking.
Might be. But also,
I like the idea that you could put somebody to work for a ticket.
What?
So I just made a joke just now, like, oh, he said standing room only, and I was like, oh yeah, you've got to like hold something.
Oh.
And I was like, wait a minute, that's not the worst idea. You want somebody to come to your game, like all right, you've got to hold something, or you've got to hold a sign the whole time, or we're gonna make you do something.
The
for
chain
a cheap
crew
ticket. Yeah, exactly. why can't those be fans?
there's probably a reason.
There's probably a reason.
But yeah, no, why can't?
And it looks like Mike Tomlin leaning on the field to trip somebody.
But you know what happens at these games? I've been to Tennessee Titans games where you get all like the concession stands are not all of them, but some of them are run by groups that are raising money, and they get a cut of it.
Yeah.
Okay, but they also do security. Some of the people that do security, they're all minimally paid. They or volunteer.
Yeah.
Because they're also I worked at one preseason game in Tennessee for the Titans when they were playing the Rams.
Yeah.
And actually it was Scott Frost. I think it was his last football game.
Oh.
Anyway, he retired like the next day. But anyway, I was on the second level. I was on the club level.
Yeah.
Right outside one of the suites.
Nice. So you couldn't see anything.
Making sure that I had passes.
So you couldn't see anything.
But there were two of us. And so we would take turns, and one of us would go watch football for 10 minutes, and the other one would come back and swap.
Yeah.
So, but it was preseason; nobody cares. I didn't want to watch football anyway. But it was just kind of cool. I didn't get paid for it. It all went to the high school football team or whatever it went to, and we just sat there and I mean, I'm security now. I'm deputized. You know why? I got a yellow windbreaker.
And you will listen to the windbreaker.
You better listen to the windbreaker.
That reminds me of the guys who work. So the Kroenke Sports hires a company called Argus to work all of their events. Argus pays terribly. Argus's shifts are terribly long, and Argus loves to like a seniority system for claiming events.
Yeah.
So if you've been working for them for 30 years, you're gonna take all the good events. I'm taking Taylor Swift, and I'm taking the spot
that
is monitoring the VIP section, but on the floor, so that way I can still see the concert. Like you get to kind of do it. So. It's just one of those things where I've seen how people treat them when they're so badly paid. Like it's like when everyone's like, oh, they shouldn't let them rush the field. Like, are you stopping them?
Yeah. Are you
Do you expect this minimum wage person to stop them?
No, don't.
No.
Stop. Come back.
Oh no.
Yeah, stop.
Okay. Well,
stop or you'll stop
see
again.
you later. Worst come to worst, I get fired today.
I don't even get a baton. I don't even have a.
It became the joke where that guy who wanted to go to the Taylor Swift concert in Denver, got a job with Argus, got into the stadium, signed his position, and then just took his jacket off, threw it on the ground, and watched the concert. Because it was cheaper and less intensive to get hired and go through training and be assigned than it was to actually buy Taylor Swift tickets. It was a fantastic story. He says he would not change a thing. He said, "Are you afraid employers are going to view you badly?" He's like, "Hell no."
These are not the opinions of the Best Time Sports Show. Just
these are the opinions of Parker.
We are not endorsing anybody doing anything.
Argus doesn't work out here. You don't have to worry about him.
That's a good point.
And besides, they'd only send low-paid employees to come talk to you, so you just bully them around.
Good point. By the way, the Chicago White Sox. Have lost 109 games. They're 32 and 109. However, they do have a one-game winning streak.
They are the only team in the American League that's been eliminated.
141 games in. There's still 21 games to play. So,
gosh, baseball is so freaking long.
But
we don't need 40 of these games.
Well, I mean,
Especially not when 40 of them are Chicago losses.
The only thing I will say for having a season this long and playing this many games is you actually know who the better teams are.
You should. It should be
weeds
well
itself
vetted.
out. If you played 2 games, you don't know who the better team is.
Yeah, but then you throw it up to a wild card
I don't like the wild
series.
No,
that is, 3 games or whatever?
But that's not the way baseball originally was, right?
Well, I know.
National League, American League, winners, boom, play the World Series.
Yeah,
that's it.
I
That's
get
the way
it.
it should be.
Well,
that's why you play
I like division winners because of the way it's structured now.
Well, I was going to say, but if you're going to do that, then shorten the season.
Yeah,
make it 100 games.
100. Yeah, I'm cool with 100 games. 100 games. Well, I'm cool with the test year. Let's try 100 games. If it's so terrible and so bad and we feel like there's questions, we'll go back to 182 or 162 or whatever it is. Yeah. And then we'll go back to the drawing board and try and find something else out. But there's no harm in trying new things. Rob Manfred's out after this year. Like, he's already announced it. We'll see what happens.
And I don't think that you'd find many owners that would complain about not having Monday and Tuesday baseball games. You know what I mean? If you just eliminated them. We're not going to play Mondays and Tuesdays because who comes to Monday, unless it's a holiday, nobody comes on Monday and Tuesday afternoon or evening to watch baseball.
Yeah.
You come Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. Those are the days you want to watch baseball. If you just played 6 days, 5 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever you want to make it. Yeah, exactly. And
yeah, I completely agree.
More people would come to the games. You know what I mean? There's so many games. Oh, well, I went on Tuesday and I'm not going to go on Friday night because I can't afford to go every night. So, but Tuesday I was off. But
I'm off on Tuesdays, Wednesdays.
Well, that's
and
true.
I've gone to a couple of Rockies games.
And there's no one there.
It's awesome.
There's no one there, right?
Awesome.
I mean, tonight's attendance is 18,000, right? And there's no one there.
Tonight's attendance will be lucky to be 5.
There's no one at the game, right?
We made this joke the other day. There's more people working there than there is.
You get 50 or 60,000 seat stadium, and you got 10,000 people, and it's just a cavernous, echoey nothing.
Yeah, it's kind of fun though. I'll tell you what though, I've been at a game. I was at a Rockies game, one of those. I think it was a Wednesday night game, and it was dead. And I want to say attendance was under 10,000. And this guy hit a home run, and you could hear it from every part of the stadium. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, it is pretty. It does echo throughout.
Yeah, it's loud, and it's not dead. It just.
Shohei Ohtani, by the way, became one of 3 players to go for 40 homers and 45 stolen bases in a season. One of only 3 in MLB history.
Let's just add another thing to that. So it's 40 strikeouts also.
And he stole 3 bases in that game to do it. And
tried. That's the league saying don't throw them out.
I mean, I don't know, but the Dodgers have the best record in baseball at 84 and 63.
Yeah, they're trying to buy their way to another title.
It's easy to do if you got enough money
or something. I don't know.
They got a 4.5 game lead over the Padres, but the Brewers lead the Central 9 games up on the Cubs. The rest of that division is not going anywhere, so just have a seat. The Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets all still in the playoff contention because the other 2 teams in that division are awful. But the Phillies lead that. They have the second best record in baseball, 83 and 56.
Look at that top to bottom in that Central division.
They're good.
It's 15 and a half
it's even.
game spread, which 15 and a half is a long way back with only 21 games left, but it's a 15 and a half game spread. But you look at the East, it's a 31 game spread, and you look at the West, it's a 33 game spread.
Yep. If you look at the AL Central, it's a 48 and a half game spread. But the top 4 teams are separated by 10 games.
Yeah.
Any of those teams could still win the division.
Yeah.
Which is it's not going to happen.
10 games with 21 games left is hard.
Right.
That's a hard mountain to climb.
Best race in baseball right now is the Orioles-Yankees. They're battling for the win of the American League East, the championship. And
hope it's the Orioles.
What's that?
Hope it's the Orioles.
I do too.
No one likes the Yankees.
Well, outside of the Bronx, nobody likes the Yankees.
Outside of the Bronx, no one likes the Yankees.
You're not wrong.
Outside of the Bronx or the 90s, no one likes the Yankees.
90s and the late 70s.
Late 70s, 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. So baseball's coming down. If you're looking at wild card races right now, the Yankees have one of the slots. The Twins have one of the slots in the American League. The Royals hold the last wild card spot, 5 games ahead of the Mariners. The Mariners have just fallen off. They were in first place in their division.
Yeah.
They're now 5 games out of the wild card spot.
Jeez. And
it's looking bad because they have been playing very good. But none of these teams in the last 10 games outside of Detroit have a winning record. So what are you going to do? In the National League, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Braves hold your top 3 spots. The Mets are a half game back. The Cubs are only 4.5 out of, but that's a long ways at this point.
Yeah, but they also have the Cards who are in their division.
Cardinals right there,
right
too.
Behind them.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on there. I don't know.
Oh, wait, the Rockies are eliminated. Nice.
Rockies and Marlins and the White Sox. So
we can hang it up for the season.
Next team to be eliminated will be the Angels, by the way, in a couple days. So
I will say this:
stay tuned for that.
as much as I love going to football games and basketball games, I've gone to more baseball games since I've been, especially since I've moved to Colorado. I've gone to more baseball games than I ever went to basketball games when I lived in Portland.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
So, quick straw poll
Straw poll.
of 2. The sample size is 2 people.
2 people.
Who wins the WNBA Rookie of the Year?
It's Caitlin Clark.
It's Caitlin Clark.
We said
It's
that.
Caitlin Clark. So, I mean, just saying. There you go. That's all the news.
Don't get me wrong. It's really impressive to have this many rebounds, right? Because even if you take out the rebounds off of misses, which is the common thing, she
Right.
still would lead the league in rebounding,
Yeah,
which is
well.
even more incredible that you're just that far ahead of everyone else. But tall, big people were an inevitability. Good rebounding people were an inevitability in women's basketball, with it getting more popular, with more girls playing it. It's an inevitability. It's going to happen. Good shooters are an inevitability as well. But I find somebody who can, I think I read something the other day. Her average, Caitlin Clark's average 3-point shot is 33.5 feet.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's average is 31.5.
It's a ridiculous distance.
Yeah, it's crazy.
End of the regular season in the WNBA is the 19th of September, so we only got a couple of weeks left.
Austin and I are talking about going to the game, what's it called? The Seattle game on Saturday.
The New York Liberty in first place in the division. By the way, they're playing right now against Seattle in New York. But it's the playoffs are kind of fun to watch. I don't mind watching the WNBA playoffs because I like playoffs in general because of that whole pressure situation you got going on.
It's more fun.
But the WNBA sort of, during the regular season, sort of mirrors college women's basketball in that you have these teams that are good and these teams that are not good. And the teams that are good beat the crap out of the teams that are not good. And it's this definitive split.
Well, that's the problem with they only have, 18 teams in their league,
true.
20 teams in their league? Yeah. It's not enough.
Well, I don't know. When you say it's not enough, all right.
No, it's not enough for broad variance. That's why you have a team like the Aces that has 5 All-Stars on it. It's because you can't spread it out.
There's only 12 teams.
12 teams.
WNBA. Yeah. Not that matters.
It's not enough.
Not enough. I don't know. Not enough for what we're talking about. Yeah.
12 teams isn't enough for it is enough for a fantasy football league.
But the fever have won 5 straight.
Fever have won 5 straight. The Sky have lost 7 straight.
The Minnesota Lynx have the best record since the.
That's the other thing that kills me about this is that I'm sitting here watching Angel Reese set these fantastic numbers week after week after week after week in loss after loss after loss after loss, and I go, at some point, it doesn't matter how good of a rebounder you are.
Yeah, I would.
We need points.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a soccer fan, MLS is off and running. I don't know that we've covered any MLS. We haven't done it in a while. We didn't do it at all last year.
We haven't really touched it.
But they played. We played 27 games. They're like 6 or 7 games left in the MLS schedule. Portland Timbers are in a playoff spot right now,
and the Rapids are 4th.
But everyone's in a playoff spot right at the moment. So
it's all close. It's all tight.
But if you're not Inter Miami and Lionel Messi, what's the point?
Yeah, they're giving it to Miami. Miami's gonna win this.
Yeah, well, this is the problem I have with soccer and in buying players. Is it's worse than baseball or football or any of those other things.
Right.
Where soccer, you're able to go out and it's not like, oh, Lionel Messi wants to come to MLS. Let's have a draft or let's have a bid on him or let's do whatever to see who gets him. It's Inter Miami said, oh, we'll give you $400 million. Bye.
Yeah,
and it's over.
We'll give you so much money. You get to come to this place. Here's your
And
penthouse.
we'll only make you play on natural grass. We'll only make you play home games. We'll only make you kick right-footed.
Well, they're going to recoup most of that in jersey sales.
Oh,
alone,
sure.
So,
and it's
it's
a move.
decision.
It's a good move, but it's not
Every team
fair.
should have submitted as much money as they could.
It's not a fair process, is what I get at. Because soccer's that way. It's the process of transferring players from one place to another is not necessarily a fair process.
No, it's just buying players and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and that's the same reason why we've said for a long
So you
time
get
that the
disparity.
MLB needs to stop it.
And you get disparity. That's what you get. And this is what you got.
Salary cap.
Salary cap would be helpful.
Salary cap solves all problems.
Yeah, there are players. There are unions against that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you gonna do anyway? But if you're watching soccer, more power to you. And by the way, you can catch Premier League soccer on NBC in the mornings or
So
USA. They play it Saturday. So Saturday, like the early game starts at 4 or something.
Ugh.
The second game starts at 6, but there's usually a late game at 8:30.
So early.
8:30 a.m. It's not a Saturday. You should be up at 8:30
It's so
on
early
Saturday.
to get up and fall back asleep while watching the thing.
It's on Peacock, and you can probably
It's
watch
true.
it on demand.
It's true.
But anyway,
I'll find it.
if you like Premier League soccer, and it's probably the best soccer in the world, the best players are there.
In theory.
Yeah, and then Bundesliga, which is on ESPN Plus. If you have ESPN Plus, you can watch all the Bundesliga games. They're fun to watch too. It looks. If you don't, just do me a favor. If you've never watched soccer before, watch them in this order. Watch an MLS game, and then a Bundesliga game, and then a Premier League game. Do not watch them in the reverse order. And the reason I tell you that is because you will be disappointed in an MLS game in about 2 minutes by the quality of play compared to what you just saw from the Premier League and the Bundesliga. The MLS quality of play is so much poorer, and there's balls going there. It looks like high school soccer compared.
What is the quote? Comparison is the theft of originality or something like that. That's the problem. Is MLS is perfectly fine for what it is,
but if you just watch that.
If you could, if you just don't compare it to another thing.
Yeah. Well,
college football is great. When you compare it to the NFL, the guys are slow and dumb, and they make bad decisions.
They do.
They
That's
don't know what the hell they're doing. So is that not what makes MLS exciting? Is bad passes?
College sports in general is exciting because anyone can win. At any point in time, anything can happen.
More specifically, anybody can make a mistake.
In the NFL, it doesn't happen that way. Pretty much the good teams win.
Tend to.
Yeah, so it's less chaos. We like chaos. I'm a chaos fan.
Chaos is fun.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Anything else we want to talk about before we go?
No, I think we covered all the sports.
Okay. All of the sports. We didn't cover all the sports,
well,
but
we didn't
close enough. All the ones that matter. Anyway, at this point, NHL hasn't started yet. NBA hasn't started yet. We'll talk about them later.
Yeah.
All right. So next week, we'll have to figure out how to do next week because you're going to be traveling.
We might do another live show on Tuesday.
On Tuesday? Well, let's do it. On Tuesday night, we'll do another live show. So next show is going to be Tuesday, September the 10th.
Yep.
Anyway, and so, maybe we just do a live one, like actually do a streaming show and put it on and let everybody actually hear us live. We could do that since we're not doing the Skype part.
Right.
It takes
a whole part of the internet out of it. Yep.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
There you go. All right. Anything else you want to say?
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks. All right. So, I want to thank everybody for listening. I got music here somewhere. I used to have music on my podcast. I used to actually links to music.
It's here now.
It is. I want to thank everybody for listening. This has been a Lonely Tree Media production. Wait a minute. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. I don't even know what my company's name is.
It's one of those.
Let's be honest. We want to thank everybody for listening. We want to thank the NFL, the college football, the NBA, the Major League Soccer, Formula One, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, anybody else that we may have stolen a copyright from. I want to thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.